I had a trainer early on, like 18 years ago when I first started out. His name was Jeff Newberg, and he was a savant with vehicles. He could look at a car and he could say, that's a 2018 Toyota Corolla IM. And you look at that and be like, well, I don't know what that is. That's kind of an oddball car. But he could tell the difference between that 2018 Toyota Corolla IM and a 2017 Toyota IM and a 2016 Scion IM, even though to the rest of us it all looks like the same car. He could get those subtle hints and be able to tell you exactly what that car was and what year it was. But he told me, he's like, even though I can do that, it doesn't really help if I give that description to you because you don't have that skill set. And so the best description in the world isn't any good if the giver of the information and the receiver of the information aren't hearing the same things or not understanding it the same way. So he taught me a system that you could give out a good description that other people could take action upon without having to know and keep up on every type of vehicle and model year and make and exactly what all the nuances of the different trim levels are. Normally, I give this presentation to people and I have a rookie in the seat next to me and I'm explaining to them how to give a good vehicle description, just like we did with the video about descriptions of suspects or offenders or victims. Put a little link up there. In this case, it didn't make sense to do it as a live stream, so I drove around and I took some pictures of some cars out on the road. I'm going to use those to show you guys what it is I'm talking about. So we're going to use for a lot of this the very blanket term of a white truck. You get a description of the offender just got into a white truck and they're heading northbound on 4th approaching Maine. So you know the general area that they're going in and you know it's supposed to be a white truck. But a white truck to some people could mean this. It could be a little tiny white SUV. A white truck to other people is just going to mean a pickup truck like this. To some people, this is a white truck, a box truck, even though it's got a van front end. That's a white truck. To other people, a white truck could mean this or this. You could just have a tractor that's bobtail, or you could have a whole big white truck. Now, while these are unlikely suspect leaving vehicles, they're pretty likely stolen vehicles. And if you've been around for a while, you know that. So white truck could mean lots of things. What we have to do is lock down different types of vehicles within subsets, which means every year when the new makes and models come out, we don't have to sit there and memorize them if cars aren't our thing, which for me, they're just not. And probably not for you if you're the average person who's coming into law enforcement today. So let's talk about different types of trucks to start with. We've got 2-door pickups, 4-door pickups. We've got tractor trailers, refrigerated tractor trailers. We've got box trucks. We've got drop frame trucks, trailer on a flat car. We've got cranes. And all of those things could be white trucks if they're the proper color. So if we delineate them there, we can delineate further. We can say it's a white 4-door pickup truck. Or we could just say it's a white 4-door pickup. We could say it's a white 2-door pickup. And generally the way I do this with people is I say, okay, well, look at the motor vehicle collision report. Here we call it the 1050 report. Look at that report and look at the different types of vehicles it allows you to tick little boxes for, put a number for in the box to designate what type of vehicle it is, and then use those designations so that we're all speaking the same language. So this is an SUV. And you'd be surprised. You say, well, that's not a truck. Well, the larger that SUV gets, and I've seen people that look at this and say that's a truck, but the larger that SUV gets, the more likely are people to refer to them as trucks, and the more it kind of makes sense that they would do so. You get into like the Tahoe and Suburban territory, they are essentially trucks with a body on the top of it. So it makes sense that people wouldn't really delineate between a white Suburban and say a half-ton pickup truck with a cap on the back that's 4 doors. It's a lot of the same stuff. Now, moving on from there, we can talk about things that better our case with what type of vehicle it is. We've got that, a white 4-door truck, northbound on 4th coming up to Maine, but we then have to look at what type of other things are unusual about this vehicle that we can give a description of that's more descriptive. Lettering on the sides of vehicles is great. Blue lettering, black and orange lettering, even if we don't know what that lettering says. Let's say our eyesight isn't as good as it used to be, or it's at such a distance that I can't really make it out or read it, or it's kerned or fonted in a way that doesn't make sense. If you see that there's blue lettering on the side of the white box truck, that's a pretty good description if you already know a general area that it's in. Another thing to think about is that even if it's a stock item, you can use it to enhance your description. So it doesn't have to be lettering or a ladder rack or a plow on the front or boxes along the side with toolboxes in the back of it. It could be something that's more stock, like black rims. White F-150 with black rims, those are out there, but it's kind of a specialized vehicle. It's only one certain trim level or two certain trim levels that are using that. And it's a fairly small proportion of the vehicles on the road. And then if you look at them in the context of all white four-door pickup trucks, the numbers of them with black rims is pretty small. So if you've got a pretty good description of the area that it's in, and it's a white four-door pickup truck with black rims, that's a fairly good description. The problem with using the name of the brand of the company and the name of the truck in giving a description is also that there's other people out there who are essentially looking for a reason to not do police work or just worriers. And so you'll give them a description of, hey, it's a white F-150, it's northbound on 4th, it's approaching Maine, and they will see the white Chevy 2500 going northbound on 4th, approaching Maine at just the time that you're saying that, and they'll be like, ooh, he said it was an F-150. So I'm not going to stop that. I've even had guys that you'll tell them, hey, it's a U-Haul rental truck. It looks like a white F-150 U-Haul rental truck. It's got orange and black lettering down the side. And they'll see a Chevy 1500 and say, oh, no, that's probably, he said it was an F-150. I can't stop that. And you're like, why can't you, just stop it? If it matches the description, it's like, well, you said it's a 150. I don't want to get jammed up. They think people are going to jam them up because of a miscommunication of exactly what model it is when you're talking about the same type and size of vehicle. Now, part of that is a receiver issue, but as the giver of the information, if the communicator communicates effectively, we don't have those receiver issues on the other end, which is why, unless you absolutely certainly know that that's the type of vehicle it is, unless you're that guy that can say, yeah, that's a 2018 Toyota Corolla IM, you should probably give it out in a way that's descriptive, but doesn't use the make and model necessarily. From there, we've got things that are individual to the car or partially individual to the car. And then we have to see those in the context of the area that we're in. Like a license plate number is individual to the car most of the time, as long as it's not dissimilar types of plates. So that's not normally going to be an issue because big world, small number of those plates, if there's 6 of them in the world over 20 different types in 50 states, you're unlikely to run into the identical plate that's, ABC 123. However, what you can use and what works really well is giving that it has no plate. So a small gray car, possibly a Chevy, doesn't do us any good, but a small gray car, possibly a Chevy, north on 4th, approaching Maine, and it's got no license plate on the back, that's a good description. Also, if you've got out-of-state plates, small gray car, Florida plate, and you're in Illinois, and it's northbound on 4th approaching Maine, that's a good description because there aren't going to be many of those out there on the road. Even stock items, if you don't know what type of car it is, can give you a really good option for giving descriptions, especially if you see the car driving away. If you tell me it's a large gray SUV and it's got an antenna sticking weirdly up from the roof that looks textured, it's like kind of large, I can get behind this car and be like, that's probably the large gray SUV with the weird antenna that they're talking about. Even though that's a completely stock item, it gives me a description that's actionable given the area that it's in. And the more of that information that we give out, the more actionable along a larger area we get. For instance, that description might not work really well 10 minutes later when the car could be, a mile or two up the road in an urban area. But if you gave me the description of a white box truck with blue lettering down the side, with double wide tires in the back, it's got dually tires in the back, and it's got extra large mirrors to see around the truck, and it's got a black step hitting out the back, and you see something like this, you're getting a lot closer to a really good description that's an actionable 10 minutes later without it saying that it's a van or it's or what make and model it is or any of that. And you can get this into anything. We get pickup trucks. What body type is it? Is it a 2-door or a 4-door pickup truck? Cars the same way. People use things like sedan or coupe or Wagoneer, these types of things. That's not really helpful. Hey, is it 2 doors or is it 4 doors? Does it have a hatchback? Those are descriptions that we can give that make a lot more sense with cars. With motorcycles, what color is it? How many wheels does the motorcycle have? If it's a trike, that's a big deal. If it's one of those lean over ones that have the wheels in the front, like the snowmobile with extra wheels on the front, that's a good description on the vehicle. A green snowmobile looking motorcycle, if I don't even know what that thing's called, that's still a really good description because I can give you a description that you can then use that's actionable out on the street without having to know the make and model of all of those different types of cars. Combine that with 1 or 2 things that are individual to that car, and you can get really good actionable descriptions even without a license plate number. And now with the modern advent of LPRs and traffic cameras, we can go look back at the things in that area that match the description, get 1 or maybe 2 license plates, run those, and really narrow down the list of possible suspects. That can lead to people getting put in 6-packs, and then from 6-packs, you might be able to take that really simple description that you don't even know the make, model, or license plate number and manage to turn that into a conviction. And that's what police work is all about, is taking that limited amount of information that we have and taking that shite and turning it into shinola. And that's your free field training for today. That's the training that I would give you if you were sitting in the car right next to me, and I hope you all appreciate it. If you do appreciate it, check out Officer Privacy. Officer Privacy takes your personal information off the internet, so that way people can't find you and come to your house the same way you find them and come to theirs. There's going to be a little QR code here and a link down in the description for Officer Privacy. Also, I'd like to thank the patrons over on Patreon. There's going to be a link coming up here very shortly. If you want early access to these videos, head on over to Patreon. For $1 a month, you can get early access, which is pretty cool. Until next week, you guys be safe and take care of each other. That's been your free field training for today. While you're here, check out one of the other videos that we made, or down here, subscribe so you can see more. Or you could check out Patreon, where you can see how you can get your name put on the videos, like all these fine folks over here. I'll see you guys next time.